obviously. And I was having fun going through and thinking about ours, and I'll kind of tell a few stories as we're going through. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eight topics to go through today on the rookie mistakes for real estate investors. All right, so we'll dive in. We're live on a few platforms here, but on YouTube, I don't even know which one it is anymore. But yeah, people, I remember thinking that I don't need to do the numbers because it's on the market, it's listed, it's on MLS. It must have been already, underwritten, or all the hoops have been jumped through because that's on the MLS, right? And that's not true. So not doing your numbers is something that people are guilty of, and I was guilty of doing that as well. One of the first duplexes I looked at, I remember thinking, and I didn't get it. We couldn't come to an agreement on the sale price. And funny story is, I'm actually friends with the previous. I'm friends with the person that wouldn't accept my price now. This is like 15 years later. Oh, no sound. The sound keeps cutting out. Not sure what that is. That on Facebook, Kevin? I had the same problem. No sound. So here I am. All you see is me moving my lips. But there's no sound. Okay, better, LOL. I had the same problem. Awesome. But yeah, so I remember trying to get this building and thinking, okay, I'll live downstairs in the basement part, which is X amount of rent, and then upstairs I'll rent it for this, and hopefully that covers the mortgage, and not really doing the actual numbers, but thinking since it's listed, it must be a good deal. So no, you have to do your numbers. And this is why we use our cash flow analysis matrix, because it underwrites it just like the financial institutions. It'll stress test the deal. It'll make sure that there's contingencies, that there's an exit strategy, and that the ratios are met and all of that stuff. But again, some people just don't do the numbers. They just dive into it. And actually, you know what? They make an emotional decision. And I've been guilty of that. I've been so guilty of that, where I want the building so bad that I'm hoping the numbers will work out. But anyway, so not doing the numbers is one of the biggest rookie mistakes. I am guilty of doing it myself, so don't feel bad. If you are doing it, just change your behavior, or if you have done it, you've probably learned from that by now. Number 2, this is a boring subject for most of you. However, it is necessary, right? The accounting aspect of it. Now, when I first started, I didn't even know how to use Excel, right? Think of this. I was counting my numbers. So this was before I met Mel. Mel had actually introduced me to Excel. And I only had one building before I met Mel. So I was actually doing my numbers and my receipts in Microsoft Word. And I would go with my calculator and go, last month was X amount, okay, plus this month's bill, X amount. And that's how I was keeping track. Obviously, once I met Mel, we started doing Excel spreadsheets. However, a rookie mistake is not keeping track of receipts, bills, invoices, the ins, the outs, and thinking, and I'm guilty of this, is, oh, I'll do that later, and just putting it on that section of your desk, or putting it in a box, or having a pile. And as humans, we always think, oh, I'll remember what that is. Don't worry. Oh, yeah, I don't need to write that down. I don't need to do anything. However, this is not the reality, right? And I still catch myself sometimes where I'm like, oh, I'll give that to our financial controller later. And I'm like, oh, I should just write what it is right now so I don't forget. And then when they ask me about it later, I'm like, what did I write down? Thank goodness I wrote something down. So it is a boring aspect of real estate investing. I know it's not exciting, like crunching numbers, negotiating, analyzing markets, all of that. However, if you want to buy real estate, you want to make money, and again, you don't want to pay taxes legally, morally, and ethically. In order to do all of those things, you need to have good books, okay? You need to have the receipts. You need to have expenses against that income to make that income on paper go away, right? Because at the end of the year, if you have all this income and you didn't take care of number two, this accounting piece, and I'm not saying you need to be an accountant. You can put everything in an Excel spreadsheet and then bring it to an accountant at the end of the year and they'll be able to help you, right? I'm not saying you need to be a whiz. However, just know that you need to be organized to some extent, because at the end of the year, if you're not organized, you're going to have, hopefully, right, a whole bunch of income from your assets. But if you don't have those expenses, you're going to pay through the nostrils on taxes, which defeats the purpose of buying real estate and making a whole bunch of money, right? YouTube, hey Dave, hey Alareza. Awesome, Alareza is actually part of the Action family, which I will be going live with at, what time is it? At 1 p.m. Eastern time with the Action family. Number 3, trusting other people. Now, I'm not saying, that sounds so bad, trusting. Don't trust anyone else. No, what I'm saying is having that trust, and this kind of ties into number 1, right? Not doing your numbers. And what I mean by this is trusting people. I used to think that if it was listed online, if realtors had it, that again, they had done all the zoning, the numbers, and the expenses, and it had to be correct. So if there was a listing, and again, let's just use an example, and it said it's a legal duplex, here are the rents, here are the expenses, I took that as gold. I took that as written in stone, it has to be right, and that has nipped us in the you-know-what, because you need to verify things. So I'm not saying you can't trust people, however, you should be doing your own due diligence, right? And I'll tell a story about Mel here. So when I met Mel, she had purchased a duplex. She had purchased a house. And the realtor told her that that the house was zoned legally in order to accept a duplex, and that she was basically going to house hack it before house hacking even existed. So Mel purchased this duplex, put a basement unit in, renovated it, and then we met. And I helped her manage it for a while. It was kind of like that's how we learned how to do things back then. We had some midnight moves in that place actually, and eventually we had a knock on the door and a letter from the city saying that this property is not zoned for a duplex. Long story short, the city was correct. The listing was wrong, or the what we had gotten from what she had gotten from the realtor was wrong. And they basically had to decommission it, and she sold it as a single-family house, right? So she made a little bit of money, but considering the time and money she put into it, it's definitely not what she had initially in mind for, right? Like if someone had told her you're only going to make X amount with all this work, she would have passed on this deal. So trusting people with very big, how do I say it? Not big factors, but with the important stuff, you're gonna want to do your own due diligence. Okay, so that was number 3. Taking what people say as law or as rule or as written in stone. Again, do your own due diligence. This one, I laughed when I wrote it. Number 4, I don't even know if this makes sense. Probably doesn't. Mel would shake her head at me, but the Superman complex. And what I mean by this is it's almost like the super uber optimist. And I'm not saying optimism is bad, but this is like, hey, whatever happens, I'll just figure it out. Yes, that is good to have the go-getter, enthusiastic, optimistic attitude. However, when you're going into real estate, you can't just have the I'll figure it out later. I'll figure out an exit strategy down the road. I'll pay back the private lenders somehow down the road. Hopefully it all works out. No, you can't just have that superhero thought process where it'll all work itself out. That's future me's problem. That is something that people are so amped up and excited to actually get into the real estate market that they kind of get this Superman or superhero complex, or, and I'm making this up here, there probably is another word to say this, but just don't do that. Make sure that before you get in, you have the exit strategy, right? Mel and I are huge on exit the deal before you enter. This is especially important if you have creative financing or other people's money in the deal. If you want to take your money and put a deposit on an asset and not have an exit strategy and not know what you're doing, I don't advise that, but at least it's your money, and you're kind of, in that scenario, almost gambling, right? If you're using other people's money, you can't just have the attitude of, I'll figure out later. No, you need to figure that out first, okay? And then I put the market will always keep increasing. People think that, the market will keep increasing, I'll just buy whatever asset and I'll be safe because next year it'll be worth X amount more. Well, that's not always the case. Number 5, I like this one. Paralysis by analysis. And I know you've heard this a bunch of times if you're a real estate investor, or if you're doing research into real estate investing. You always hear this, paralysis by analysis. I still get this sometimes as well. And when I'm analyzing new markets, so now we're looking in the States, I'm looking at different markets and different deals, and I find I catch myself. So this could be whether you're starting out, which is kind of like the rookie thing, but even someone like myself. Mel and I have 20 plus years combined real estate. We have 29 units, something like that. And I still sometimes catch myself going, okay, this is a good deal, but what if the next deal is going to be even better? I should probably wait for that one. Well, I sometimes get stuck in that as well. But as a rookie, this is a mistake I see. If you're actually doing the numbers, you're understanding that this is a good asset, you've asked the questions, you have all the ducks lined up in a row, and you know what you're doing is right and correct, and you have the knowledge piece, which we'll touch on after. We have a webinar coming up actually, so I'll touch on that. Is if you know what you're doing and you have done all the research, don't be scared, and don't have that, I'll wait for the next one. Maybe I'm missing something. At some point, you're gonna have to pull the trigger, okay? And I'm not saying that you're not gonna make mistakes or have hiccups or have barriers in that. However, at some point, if you wanna be a real estate investor, if you're gonna make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs, right? So you're gonna have to do that. So paralysis by analysis, or is it analysis by paralysis? I never know what difference it is. Put it in the chat if you know exactly which one it is. But that is something that I see so many people get stuck on. And if you actually don't know what you're doing, this might be a good thing. But if you have the knowledge piece and you know what you're doing, that could be a detriment to being a real estate investor. Now, before I forget, if you are interested, tomorrow night, Thursday, November 3rd? So tomorrow night, Thursday, November 4th, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a webinar. Mel and I are going to be live in the studio here. We're going to be like an hour and a half. We show you deals, we analyze deals, we show you other people's money examples and strategies. And I don't know if Kevin can put it in there, someone can write it in the chat for me here. And Kevin, can you actually go down to the bottom so I can see all the other comments in YouTube? But yeah, if you write www.iloveopm.com, and you have to put the W's, okay? And then we'll touch on the knowledge piece after. But paralysis by analysis. Now, number 6. I have been guilty of this as well. Not treating it like a business. Not treating it like a business. Real estate is very unique in the sense that if you're going to, what can I use? If you're going to go open a restaurant, if you're going to open a hair salon, if you're going to start a real estate brokerage, whatever it is, it seems as though people are much more likely to treat that as a business. They're going to treat it as a business. They're going to be more serious. They're going to act as though this is my business and this is how I should. They're going to have standard operating procedures. They're going to have hours of operation, like all those things that come with a business. But for some reason, and I don't know why, but real estate, people think it's almost like a hobby, a side gig, a side hustle, something I do on the side of my other jobs, right? I guess that's a side hustle and side gig. However, I have been so guilty of this in the beginning. So this is a huge rookie mistake, not treating your asset like a business. And this is. And when you kind of flip the script and start looking at as, hey, I know it's an asset and I'm buying it, and no, this is my business. That's when you start treating it differently. So like I mentioned before, number 2, accounting. You would do the accounting if you had a restaurant, if you had a hair salon, if you had a brokerage. So why are you not doing it with your real estate? Treat it like a business and do that, right? Again, give it the respect that it deserves and do the accounting. Now, the other thing, if someone wasn't paying, like if someone came into your restaurant and didn't pay, would you go, it's okay, it's all good, it's on me, keep going? Or would you say, no, you have to pay, right? Or would you not send the invoice? Or I don't know, what is that, dash and dine, you'd call the police. Like, there's things that you would do in other businesses that you should bring that into real estate. If a tenant's not paying rent, don't go, I'll wait till next month, or they'll just wait, they'll pay eventually. Is that treating it like a business? Is that fair to you as a real estate investor that got into this to build equity, to build cash flow for your family, security, all of that? So no, that is something that as you're going into it, if you're a beginner real estate investor, if you're a rookie, or even if you have X amount of buildings and X amount of years into it, almost do a self-reflect. No, not almost. Do the self-reflection. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, if this was another business, would I do the same things the same way that I'm doing them right now? Or would I treat it a lot more professionally? Professionally? Yeah, I think that's the word. A way of doing this as well is, I got the thumbs up from Kev, that's the right word. There we go. What was I saying? Not treating it like a business. Something I learned from one of my mentors way back. She was a doctor. Anyway, she was awesome. She still is awesome, actually. She said, even if it's just Mel and I, even if it's just you, even if you have a partner or if you have a spouse, you're doing it, almost pretend as though you have a board of directors. And this will change your mindset. If you look at your real estate investing and you think of it like, I need to pretend that, what was I going to say? I need to pretend that I need to present to the board of directors how the business is doing, right? Your real estate portfolio, how the business is doing on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on a biannually, on an annual. I'm 99% sure that you are going to treat this a lot more like a business than just, I'll figure it out, or they didn't pay, it's all good. So rule of thumb, pretend you have a board of directors that you need to present to and that you need to be accountable for. There's the word I'm looking for. You need to be accountable to that board of directors, otherwise they're going to fire you. Anyway, number 7, know yourself. What I mean by know yourself is know what you're looking for. And as a rookie real estate investor, and I see some questions here. I will answer them, Jonathan. Yeah, I will answer your question, Jonathan. But the knowing yourself is so important. Don't be in such a rush to just get into an asset. You're going to have, well, there's 2 different types. Well, there's a lot of different types of asset classes. This could be a huge subject here. But the ones I'm going to touch on initially are cash flow versus appreciation. So are you looking for more of a high cash flowing market where maybe the appreciation won't be as high as other places, but you're looking at quitting your job? So when Mel and I quit our jobs in early 30s, we were looking for high cash flow assets because we needed to replace the income that we had coming in and pay the bills, right? We have 3 kids, so we couldn't just guess this. We couldn't just wing it. We needed to make sure we had high cash flowing assets that every single month would produce income so that we could pay the bills and keep the wheel turning, right? You might be someone that says, Dave, I'm good. I don't want to, I'm good. I like my job. I don't want to leave. I love what I do. And we have a lot of people that tell us this. I just want it to be like a side hustle. And every once in a while, every year or 2, I get a bigger chunk of change because the building has appreciated. They refinance, they take out that equity. So just know ahead of time what type of investor are you going to be and what your needs are. So number 7, knowing yourself, not just going, hey, this is the cheapest duplex I could find on the market, I'm buying it. Well, what is that duplex going to do for you? Is it going to produce cash flow, or is it going to, in a year from now, go up by 50K in appreciation with you not doing anything? And again, you can go through a whole rabbit hole of different things, right? You could say, what type of asset class will give this to me? Is it going to be a single family dwelling? Is it going to be a pre-construction condo? Is it going to be a pre-construction villa? Is it a townhouse? Is it a duplex? Is it 5 units and over? Is it storage? Is it strictly commercial? So after you decide cash flow versus appreciation, you could definitely figure out which type of asset class you want to dive into. And number 8, we will talk about after the commercial break, but I want you to stay tuned, and if you have any questions whatsoever, start putting it in the comment section, and we'll definitely do some Q&A after I touch on the last but not least, number 8, after the commercial break. So I'll see you in a few seconds from now.
What are you doing, Dave?
Mel, the Canadian real estate market is on fire right now, and I need my fuel in order to show these guys how to do it without any joint venture partners or without sacrificing all of their savings.
Well, let's go show them.
All right.
Want to learn how to buy Canadian properties using non-beyond funds?
And what if we told you you are able to solely own that, which means you have no partners?
It may sound too good to be true, but this is happening every single day with our students.
Take Heather. She bought 4 multifamily properties in less than 5 months.
And Adele, who purchased 51 units last year.
And Troy and Lisa, who added 33 units to their portfolio.
And Francois, he purchased 15 units and was able to quit his full-time job in less than a year.
How did they do it? Well, it's a simple 3-step process that leverages OPM, other people's money.
If you want to see how this works, then click the link below and we'll send you the training straight to your inbox.
Don't miss out. Now is the best time to create a real estate portfolio.
We'll see you in the training.
Awesome, we're back. Thank you for watching that commercial. As I cough, of course I took a sip of water the last second before the commercial went on, and it went through the wrong pipe, down the wrong hole, whatever that saying is. So yeah, if you're back here, thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Hit the bell to get notified and like it. And please start putting your comments below the questions, because we'll be diving into the last, we'll go with number 8, and then we'll dive into the Q&A. And also tomorrow night, if you missed it at the beginning, we go live on a webinar. It's about an hour and a half. It's Mel and I live. You get some back story of us before we're real estate investors. We're going to run through 4 deals with you with 100% financing. We'll talk about other people's money. So make sure to check it out. It's completely free, but you have to go www. You have to put the dubs. www.iloveopm.com, and I think you might get the book or something. I think you get the free ebook, I forget. So check it out. Now, number 8, let's dive into it. And this is something that, almost like accounting, people don't get excited about it. About it. I feel so Canadian there, Kevin, when I say it like that. I feel so, anyway, number 8 is the knowledge piece, and people should be excited about this. Mel and I have now spent upwards of over $250,000, which is a crazy number, absurd number. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said absolutely not. And I wish I spent this money even sooner. But the knowledge we spent that amount of money on our own personal development, in our own coaches and mentors, and learning, right? So this is something that is huge, knowledge. It's not as exciting as looking for deals, like I said, the accounting piece, but you don't know what you don't know. If you leave here today with one thing, is you don't know what you don't know. And this is something that will this will be true the rest of your life in any aspect. But in real estate investing, as much as you keep learning, as much as you keep growing, it's unreal how much you discover, how much you don't know. And for example, like now that we're diving into the States, different things are happening every day. And again, just learning so many different aspects of it, which is awesome. I absolutely love it. But it just shows you, again, you don't know what you don't know. So knowledge is a very important piece of being a real estate investor. You should always be thriving to get better, right? To learn the next new thing, to learn the next market, to understand different concepts, understanding different financing products, understanding different creative financing not setups, but different creative financing strategies in order to finance your deals, right? Having that exit strategy, gaining the knowledge on how you're going to pay people back and how to structure that. Like, knowledge is such an important part of real estate investing, because the second you stop gaining knowledge, you have basically just put the finish line, like, not the finish line. What am I trying to say here, Kevin? Like, you've basically just put a ceiling. That's what I'm looking for. You've basically just put the ceiling on your growth, okay? And if you're like us, if you're like Mel and I never want to have a ceiling. So in order to keep breaking through a ceiling and breaking to the next level, you have to keep getting that knowledge piece, right? You have to continuously search for the next knowledge piece in order to grow as a real estate investor. So those are the top 8 rookie mistakes that, in my opinion, I've done every single one of them. Yeah, let's go over to the questions. Kevin, please. Yes, Jonathan had one. Okay, Jonathan, I was reading it during the commercial break, and to be honest with you, I have not read that. Good afternoon, Mel and Dave. What's your thoughts on the Transparency Act the IRS has been able to pass in office? I have not, to be honest with you, have researched that. Jonathan, I don't want to lie to you and make anything up. I have not. But explain a little bit more, Jonathan. If you're saying the Transparency Act by the IRS, is that like a freedom of information type request that you can do? Jonathan, registered for the webinar. Awesome. Thank you, my friend. But yeah. So Jonathan, if you want to elaborate on that, we can touch on it. But if not, it's all good. You do you. You do what you want, Jonathan. You don't have to answer anything you don't want to. Awesome. So let me know if you guys have any questions. If not, I will say goodbye, but hope and answer a few. But again, if not, it's all good. I'll go get ready for the Action Family, which will be in 32 minutes. Go live with the Action Family every single week for an hour, do our workshop, which I absolutely love. Kevin, that's Instagram or TikTok right here? I could TikTok. See if there's any questions on TikTok, or if you bring it closer. TikTok always has a lot of questions. Actually, you know what? TikTok always seems to have very good rookie questions. And what I mean by that is, yes, it actually allows the IRS to look into businesses. Okay, there you go, Jonathan. Thank you for explaining that. I'll have to look into it. You know what? I'll talk to my U.S. Accounting team and legal team to see how this can affect us as real estate investors. I'll let the pros tell me what they think, right? Instead of trying to dissect it. My house is paid off. I have $25,000 for investment down payment. Credit is not so good. Could I get approved? Yes. And this is where, and I can't see your name, but this is something where, and this is why I love creative financing, right? This is why I absolutely love creative financing, other people's money, and we should almost do next time, Kevin. Almost have a little desktop one here for TikTok so I can, but I love it. Hey, again, Kevin and I are learning just as real estate investors do, right? You always learn, you always get better. If we thought we were perfect, we would be wrong. Okay, train of thought. I saw a squirrel. But what I'm getting at is, yes, I can't see your name, but you don't necessarily need to have perfect credit, have all the money for the down payment, because creative financing and other people's money, a couple different things here. We have purchased real estate with none of our own money. Now, full disclosure here, when I say that, we still, 99.9% of our deals, we have had exceptions to this, but we have typically 99% of the time paid for our own legal fees and land transfer. So basically closing costs. And this will look different from province to province, from state to state. But that is probably going to be a you expense, an expense that you're going to have to pay. Now, in regards to the down payment, this is where the creative financing comes into play, because you can get seller financing, for example, which would be where the seller can hold either a first mortgage, a second mortgage, 100% finance. So that's one aspect where they don't necessarily look at your credit. I've had some that have not even pulled my credit score. I've not even met them or talked to them. It's been through the realtors or through the lawyers, okay? Then there's also promissory notes. There's also registered funds. I think we're releasing a video tomorrow on registered funds, right, Kevin? We have a YouTube video tomorrow on registered funds talking about it, right? Because a lot of people forget that you can use RSPs, TFSAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs. They forget that you can use that in the form of mortgages, right, for real estate. So that's what I would say, is get that knowledge piece. So number 8, actually, question for you, if you're not signed up already, www.iloveopm.com, and that way you can check out the webinar tomorrow night. And if you're watching this down the road, we have webinars, I think once a month or so. So if ever you have questions or different things like that, you can always join one, and we go over a lot of different pieces of creative financing. Mar, if I join the Action family, would you recommend lenders and brokers? Absolutely, absolutely. When you're part of the Action family, we honestly, we open up our entire Rolodex, right? I have investor focused lawyers, accountants, mortgage brokers, insurance brokers, real estate agents throughout Canada, throughout the States, and we introduce you to absolutely every single person that we use, Mar. Roger, how high of a credit score do you need to qualify for a mortgage when using OPM? Roger, kind of a loaded question. However, to add on to what I was saying here, you don't always necessarily need to show your credit score. Okay, with seller financing, this is someone that has equity in an asset, and they can decide to lend to you or not. Not given on your credit score, not necessarily on what your previous experience is. It's basically, it's two people negotiating a deal, and from there they decide if they want to lend to you, and then the lawyers and attorneys basically do the rest of the work, right? So there's no really minimum. There's no real minimum credit score, to be honest with you. Now obviously, and you know this, Jonathan, is higher the credit score, the better. However, we have some people that are in bankruptcy that we've helped. We have people that don't yet have their PR, their permanent residence, that we can help as well. So with asset-based lending, they're looking mostly at the asset itself, which again, you're not going to want to buy an asset that doesn't make sense. So you're only going to bring assets that make sense to them. So they're going to want to lend on that. And then from there, they might look at you, but that is something that... So Roger, I think if I had to give you an absolute number for financial institutions or mortgage brokers or mix, or I think, and again, I'm not a mortgage broker, so I'm not the right guy to be asking this, but I feel like they've told me 600 to 650 minimum-ish if they're going to help you with some creative financing. But that's on the mortgage broker side, right? With asset-based lending, seller financing, and different private lending, they might not even ask you whatsoever. So that could be a lot different. Have you ever done any deals where you use the owner for the full mortgage? 100%, Roger. Actually, join the webinar tomorrow. I think Kevin had put it in the chat, right? The link, www. If you can pin it, Kevin. Thank you. If you can pin it, join. We'll show you a couple of different deals where the seller has held a first mortgage, the seller has held a second mortgage, and the seller has held 100% financed. We have some deals where, and this blew my mind. Like when I first learned this, talk about not knowing what you don't know. When I realized that some deals never touch a bank. Some deals don't have financing through financial institutions. You can fund real estate without going through a bank. Like, I'm getting goosebumps under my jacket when I say this to you, my blazer, because I still remember, already signed up, awesome, Roger. I still remember when I learned that, I was like, because again, it's almost like what you've learned your whole life. Debt is bad, go to school, get a job. you need to go to a bank to get a mortgage. As soon as I learned that, it was like, wow, this is incredible. And it was, again, breaking through the ceiling. We actually have a deal where we show you that there's no banks involved, registered funds. So yes, that's all in the webinar, absolutely. Good questions, guys. Roger, thank you for the thumbs up, guys, love it. Wonderful mortgage, yes. Alareza, and Alareza is part of the Action family. Commercial real estate, don't look at your credit score, they look at the asset-based financing, correct. They will still look a little bit depending on the lender, but you're right, Alareza. That's awesome. Thank you for posting that, Kevin. TikTok, more likes can attract viewers. Keep it up. Oh, thank you. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the rookie mistakes. And this is something, if you have made mistakes, don't be shy. Like don't kick yourself about it. We've all done it. Like all 8 of these, and when I was making my list, it was fun because I was laughing at the ones I've done. I was laughing at the ones that I've learned from. I was laughing at the ones where I should have learned by now, but I still sometimes do them because we're all human. But the whole, and when Mel and I were working out this morning, we were talking about this subject, and it was funny because we basically said, we started talking about sometimes people are failures, right? Or they think, oh, I'm a failure, or what is failure? And making a mistake and landing flat on your face is going to happen, right? We've done it multiple times with multiple different businesses and multiple different assets and different things that we've tried. However, failure in my mind is if you fail at something, or if you make a mistake, or if you land flat on your face, which you will do, right? If you're taking action and you're trying to buy real estate, or you're trying to start things, you will have that happen. Now, the only time that you become a failure is when you actually stop right there, when you let that win, right? Okay, and if you continue on to the next day, the next battle, go on, continue your knowledge, go find deals, that's not failure. That's what success is. Success is failing and continuing on past that. So if you have made these mistakes, or if you're watching this and you will make these mistakes at one point, just know that if you keep on chugging along, that is what success is, not failure. Again, if you like what you saw today, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like it and hit the bell to get notified. Tomorrow we're releasing a video. It's just me on the whiteboard analyzing deals with the registered funds. Again, the webinar, www.iloveopm.com. And I can't wait to see you next Wednesday, once again, live here from the studio in North Bay, Ontario, Canada. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you next week on the live. Bye for now.
I'm Mel.
And I'm Dave.
And we're the Investor Couple. To invest your money and you want to maximize on your profits.
This is where real estate truly wins.
2.5 years in the making.
Who called the plumber? And you now have an infinite return on investment